G'day, you're with Sean the Australian Restorer, and today I've got one of these. This is a Victa Pro 2-stroke blower. I picked it up off the Facebook marketplace for $5 in the current condition that it's in. So the person I bought it off assured me that it was working before the starter fell apart. So while I have it kind of here and apart, I'm gonna go ahead and clean it, inspect it. I've already ordered a new one of these, so that should be a pretty straightforward one-for-one swap over. But before I get that far, like I said, we'll go ahead and check it out. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of the old fuel, because my understanding is that this has probably been in here over a year, which means for better or worse, it is no good. I can even see all the debris coming out of the fuel tank. Got lots of crap in there. You can see that in there. Just dirt. Might not need a new filter, I can just clean that one. I like these foam spongy types. Now something I've just noticed here, little kink right there in the fuel line. I feel like that would just slow down fuel coming and going, so I might do something about that as well. So I'm just going to take this air filter housing off to access the carby, so I can just have a look at that and give it a clean if necessary. Alright, so in there, that carby looks pretty clean. The gasket's in pretty good nick. At this stage it looks to be just filthy on the outside, which is a good thing. I found the answer to my question about why these fuel lines have a kink in it. That little black band right there is actually a zip tie. Someone's replaced that and put a zip tie on it. And seemed to have put a little bit too much fuel hose on there, which caused that kink. So what I've done there, obviously I inspected the carby, which is this area here. I'll put it back onto the inlet manifold there. The reason being is because basically I'm just going to go ahead and degrease all this now, get all that crap off, just to clean it. I took off the vibration dampener slash stand, being this bit, which was under here. The reason for that was just so I can clean that here a little bit more thoroughly without having stuff in the way. It was easy enough to take apart and only take a second to put back on, so happy with that. Paper towels are always a handy thing to keep in the garage, because it's very quick and easy to use to absorb crap. So I'm going to do here, there, and then spray it and watch all the gross bits dribble down. So just double checking again, nothing can get in there, that's sealed good. But everything's coming off it. Now some people have different methods. Warm soapy water, toothbrush, cloth, rags. Each to their own. As long as you're in a well ventilated area, which this is, have all the doors open, wearing gloves, it's fine. Go ahead and do this. This stuff's like $3 a tin, so happy to go through a few tins if it means expediting the service or the cleanup or whatever it is that I'm doing here. Anytime I go to the local bloody parts shop, they always got these near the counter on special, these tins. So I grab one or two just on the way out. Now I've got to be careful just around here, because that's actually the exhaust. So I might even just put a little bit of rag in the exhaust here, just because I don't want this going in there and then get a nice fireball when I fire this bad boy up, because it is flammable. Look at that, look at the colour of that crap. Yeah. I use cardboard as well. It's just a handy thing you have in your garage. So what do you think smells better, ladies and gents? A can of degreaser or a can of water disperser? So WD-40 and the like. I think they both have an enchanting musk. Alright, well, this tin's empty. Got myself a little bit of carby cleaner just to do this component, that air filter housing. And the beauty of using the carby cleaner is it just dries a little bit quicker and easier than degreaser, but obviously it's not as effective at getting those nooks and crannies and doing a really bulk sort of, degrease. Now I did try and spray this bit, the little cover itself, with the carby cleaner. No dice, so I'm going to hit that with degreaser. Now again, warm soapy water is probably a better option here and now, just for these basic plastic components, but what, I've got the tin of degreaser here, so no harm, now no foul. Like I said, just expedites the process a little bit. I'll just give the old vibration dampener a quick once over with that wet degrease covered piece of paper towel. So the whole unit's looking much cleaner now, which is great. If you recall, that was all grimy. I think this is the simplest option. Cut it off here and put it back on. Cool. So we've got a nice wide open fuel line there. This one's not too bad. I'm just going to leave that. It's got, yeah, it's bent, but it's nowhere near as kinked as that was. Now, since this did have a zip tie on it, I'm just going to put one back on it just in case this was the incorrect size when they put it on, and that's probably the reason. I'll just chop that off a little bit more just to make it a little bit neater. There we go, that'll do. Looks in good enough condition. Things I look for here is if there's, a lot of carbon and build up of gunk and spent fuel around this point. I'm confident this will start with this thing on it. Just a nip. Here's a replacement pull start I got. Now I could pull that all out, put it in the original one, but I'm not really that fussed. The only thing that's not going to be there is a Victa Pro insignia there. It's hardly a bloody Rolls Royce restoration. I went and washed the air filter in warm soapy water and let it dry, so it's good to go. I love these foam ones. Super handy. Now some people put oil on them to kind of further trap particles going through that filter. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I'm just saying I don't. You know, I don't think it's that big a deal if you do or if you don't. I don't know, call me crazy. Somehow in my mind I feel that putting oil on it would restrict airflow. You know, that's just my opinion. I might have to do a bit of research and see if that's the case, but they don't come from the factory with oil on them, so yeah, take from that what you will. Choke's working, good. It's all been pretty straightforward so far. Let's fix a bit that I came here to fix. It was about $25 for this component, so you know, not too bad. I did have to go to Supercheap and buy a few screws that were missing. Now, since it's not fitting properly, that's just because these little bits here aren't aligned with these pawls. So it's just a matter of getting it on there, you know, in the rough position that it needs to be, and just ever so slightly pull the pull cord until it kind of drops in and sits. There we go. And now I can feel it grabbing, and I also felt a little bit of compression. And these are 3 of the screws that came with it, but there's 1, 2 and 3 which were missing. Cool. Now for this one, because these are the bolts that I had to get from the shop today, because they're the ones that were missing, but the only ones I could find in this size have the hex head, so that's why I've got to use my little socket to get them on, but that's okay. So yeah, another one there and one just here. This one might be a little bit tricky. Not going to fit. Interesting, interesting. Lucky me, I just happen to have one very similarly sized in my little drawer. Now I've learned over the years to keep a little drawer full of miscellaneous nuts and bolts, because you never know when they come in handy. The amount of times I find myself digging through that drawer looking for something, which I actually did yesterday, trying to find 3 that'll fit this. Evidently I didn't find this one, but I just found it then, so it's come in handy right now. This should fit. Now just note the different sizes, lengths, so you may need to put some washers on those bolts with the hex head. So I've noticed that this is just a little bit too long, this bolt, and as such it's just not tightening up properly. So what I'm going to do, instead of filling it full of washers, is I'm just going to cut, you know, kind of from here onwards off. You put the little nut on here so that when it screws off, it can clean up any sort of burrs that have kicked up as a result. I believe I succeeded in making this sufficiently more difficult than necessary. However, I'm not going to lie, it's actually kind of standard. The only things that you get really good at and can almost do with your eyes closed are things that you do all day, every day. And this particular model is a first for me. So yeah, I just dipped a little bit of fuel in there. I'm just going to give it a bit of a shake and a rinse. Alrighty, time for a little function test before I put fuel in it. Well, that sounds wonderful to me. Let's go. Dusty, he's here to help me with the tester. What do you reckon, big fella? Yep, alright, let's give it a go. Pretty straightforward. Primer bar underneath, couple of pumps. It's got fresh fuel in it, obviously. Put the choke on. I picked up a future project today. Have a look at this little bad boy. I've never actually seen one like this. I'm sure a lot of you have, but I personally haven't. So yeah, make sure you subscribe and you'll see me working on this one, hopefully getting it back to like a new condition in the near future. Alright guys, have a good one. See ya.